Captain Lee Hyun stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, watching the stars through the massive viewport. His ship floated silently in the dark space beyond Pluto, where the cold reached temperatures that could freeze metal solid. The bridge hummed with quiet activity as his crew monitored their instruments. Park Bo-ram turned from her tactical console, her face pale in the blue glow of the screens. She was young but skilled, one of the best tactical officers in the human fleet. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic displays as she studied the readings. "Captain," she said, her voice steady despite what she was seeing. "You need to look at this." Lee Hyun walked over to her station. The tactical display showed the edge of their sensor range, where space should have been empty. Instead, dots filled the screen. Thousands upon thousands of red dots, all moving toward the inner solar system. Kim Tae-ho looked up from his communications array. He was older than the others, with gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too many battles. His equipment was picking up signals from across the galaxy, messages that made his blood run cold. "Sir, I am getting transmissions from 12 different alien species," Kim Tae-ho reported. "They are coordinating their approach. This is not a random attack. This is organized." Lee Hyun felt his stomach drop. 12 species working together meant only one thing. The Celestial Dominion had finally decided to end humanity once and for all. The Dominion was the most powerful force in the galaxy. It included the reptilian Vorthak with their powerful warships, the insect-like Clixon with their swarm tactics, and 10 other species that had ruled space for thousands of years. They had watched humanity grow from a single world species to a force that controlled dozens of star systems. "How many ships?" Lee Hyun asked, though he dreaded the answer. Park Bo-ram worked her console faster, trying to get an accurate count. The numbers kept climbing. "At least 40,000, sir. Maybe 50,000. The sensors cannot count them all. They stretch beyond our scanning range." The bridge fell silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. 50,000 ships represented more military power than humanity had ever faced. The entire human fleet numbered only 3,000 vessels, scattered across their colonies to protect them from smaller threats. Kim Tae-ho suddenly straightened in his chair. "Captain, incoming transmission on all frequencies. It is from the Dominion flagship. Put it through," Lee Hyun ordered. The main screen flickered and showed a massive alien face. It belonged to Supreme Commander Vorthak of the Vorthak species. His scales were dark green and scarred from many battles. His yellow eyes burned with hatred as he looked directly into the camera. "Humans of the Sol system," the alien commander began, his voice deep and threatening. "I am Supreme Commander Vorthak of the Celestial Dominion. We represent 12 species that have ruled this galaxy since before your world even cooled from its formation." Lee Hyun clenched his fists as the alien continued speaking. "For too long, we have watched your kind spread like a disease across our galaxy. You take worlds that do not belong to you. You build weapons and ships without asking our permission. You act as if you belong among the great powers of space." The alien's image leaned forward, making his scarred face fill the entire screen. "This ends now. You have one standard day to surrender completely. Disarm all your ships. Abandon all your colonies except your homeworld. Submit to Dominion rule and accept your place as servants to your betters." Vorthak showed his sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. "If you refuse, we will destroy every human ship, every human station, and every human colony. We will reduce your homeworld to ash and dust. Your species will be remembered only as a cautionary tale about what happens to those who reach too far above their station." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in darkness except for the instrument lights. Lee Hyun turned to Kim Tae-ho. "Send an immediate message to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Tell them what we have seen." As Kim Tae-ho worked to encode the message, Lee Hyun stared out at the approaching fleet. Even at maximum magnification, the alien ships looked like a cloud of stars moving against the darkness of space. Each dot represented a warship with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Message sent, Captain," Kim Tae-ho reported. "Earth Command acknowledges receipt. They are calling an emergency session of the Defense Council." Park Bo-ram was still studying her tactical displays. "Sir, based on their current speed and course, the Dominion fleet will reach the outer system defenses in 18 hours. Lee Hyun nodded grimly. 18 hours to prepare for the largest battle in human history. 18 hours before humanity faced extinction, or found a way to survive against impossible odds. On Earth, alarms were already sounding in the deep underground bunkers where human leadership gathered during times of crisis. Admiral Choi In-soo received the report from the Eternal Dawn with a heavy heart. He had expected this day would come eventually, but he had hoped for more time. Defense Minister Yoon Soo-jin was already calling together the Emergency Council. Strategic Coordinator Kang Min-ho was pulling up defensive plans that everyone knew would not be enough against such overwhelming force. The conference room filled quickly with the most important people in human space. Generals, admirals, scientists, and politicians all gathered around the massive holographic display that showed the approaching alien fleet. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Choi In-soo began, his voice steady despite the desperate situation. We are facing the greatest threat in human history. The Celestial Dominion has assembled their combined fleets. Intelligence estimates place their numbers at over 50,000 ships. Gasps and whispers filled the room. Even the most optimistic projections had never imagined facing such a massive force. Strategic Coordinator Kang Min-ho activated the defensive displays. Our total available fleet strength is 2,800 ships. We have another 200 vessels in construction that could be rushed into service, but they would not be fully equipped. The numbers were stark and terrifying. Even if every human ship fought perfectly and destroyed 10 alien ships before being destroyed themselves, humanity would still lose completely. Defense Minister Yoon Soo-jin stood up slowly. She was an older woman who had served in the military for 40 years before entering politics. Her experience had taught her to look for options that others might miss. What about evacuation? She asked. How many people could we move to the outer colonies if we use every transport ship? The logistics officer checked his numbers. Maybe 2 billion people if we use military transports as well as civilian ships. That leaves 6 billion who cannot be moved in time. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the terrible choice. Save some and abandon the rest, or try to fight and probably lose everyone. Admiral Choi In-soo looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. Each person was struggling with the same impossible situation. Humanity had grown too fast and reached too far, and now their enemies had finally united to stop them. But in the depths of space, aboard ships hidden in the darkness between worlds, other humans were preparing for a very different kind of battle. Captain Lee Hyun and his crew did not know it yet, but their desperate message would begin the greatest deception in galactic history. Colonel Jang Eun-woo ran through the corridors of Luna Base, his boots echoing against the metal floors. Emergency lights flashed red as alarms blared throughout the underground facility. Around him, soldiers and technicians moved with desperate urgency, carrying equipment and data storage devices toward the evacuation shuttles. At least, that was what it looked like to anyone watching. Jang Eun-woo stopped at a checkpoint where Dr. Seo Hai-in was frantically directing her team of engineers. They appeared to be dismantling critical defense systems, their faces showing panic and fear as they worked to remove sensitive technology before the alien forces arrived. Doctor, how much time do you need? Jang Eun-woo asked, his voice carrying just the right amount of stress for anyone listening on the communication channels. Dr. Seo Hai-in looked up from her work, sweat beading on her forehead. At least 6 more hours to completely remove all the orbital defense computers. We cannot let this technology fall into alien hands. She turned back to her team, barking orders that sounded increasingly desperate. Faster! Remove every data core and every weapons control system. If the Dominion captures these systems intact, they will learn all our defense patterns. What the watching aliens did not know was that Dr. Seo Hai-in was actually installing new systems, not removing them. Every dismantled defense platform was being upgraded with advanced cloaking technology and more powerful weapons. The apparent panic was a carefully rehearsed performance. In space above Earth, Captain Oh Dong-min commanded what appeared to be a civilian evacuation transport, called the New Hope. His ship was packed with thousands of refugees fleeing the approaching alien fleet. Children could be heard crying over the communication channels as their parents tried to comfort them during the desperate escape. Captain Oh Dong-min activated his emergency broadcast system, sending a message on all frequencies that he knew the alien fleet would intercept. "This is Captain Oh Dong-min of the refugee ship New Hope," he said, his voice breaking with emotion. "We have 8,000 civilians aboard, mostly families with young children. We are requesting safe passage to the outer colonies. Please, we have no weapons and pose no threat to your forces. His wife, Song Ji-hai, stood beside him on the bridge. She was a famous actress who had volunteered for this mission because of her ability to sound genuinely terrified. She leaned toward the microphone, her voice shaking as she added her own plea. Please, we have babies aboard this ship, Song Ji-hai said, her words carrying across space to the alien fleet. They have done nothing wrong. They just want to live. Can you not show mercy to innocent children? The message was broadcast in 12 different languages, including the native tongues of each Dominion species. Hidden in the emotional plea were subtle psychological triggers designed to make the aliens feel superior and merciful. Each species had cultural values that could be exploited, and Song Ji-hai knew exactly which words would make them lower their guard. Aboard the Dominion flagship, Supreme Commander Vorthak listened to the human transmissions with growing satisfaction. His tactical officers were intercepting dozens of similar messages as human ships fled in all directions, carrying refugees and valuable equipment away from Earth. Commander Sesthul, his chief tactical advisor, studied the scanning reports with his cold reptilian eyes. The humans were behaving exactly as predicted when faced with overwhelming force. Their military ships were scattered and disorganized. Their civilian population was fleeing in panic. The human defense fleet is breaking formation, Sesthul reported to his commander. Their ships are abandoning their posts to escort refugee convoys. Their orbital defenses are being dismantled. They show no signs of coordinated resistance. Supreme Commander Vorthak allowed himself a moment of disappointment. He had expected the humans to put up at least some fight. Their reputation for stubborn resistance had made him anticipate an interesting battle. Instead, they were collapsing before the Dominion fleet had even entered weapons range. Reduce our approach speed, Vorthak ordered. There is no need to rush. The humans are already defeated in spirit. We can take our time and savor this victory. The massive alien fleet began to slow its advance, giving the fleeing humans more time to evacuate. It was a gesture that Vorthak believed showed his magnanimity and victory, but it was exactly what the humans needed. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Lieutenant Commander Han Yuri floated in her modified mining ship, watching the alien fleet through her advanced sensors. Her vessel looked like an old cargo hauler that had been abandoned when the evacuation began, but it was actually one of the most sophisticated spy ships in the human fleet. Han Yuri had spent 3 months positioned in the asteroid field, disguised as a mining operation. Her ship was equipped with quantum sensors that could penetrate any alien cloaking technology, giving her a perfect view of the approaching Dominion forces. They are taking the bait, she reported on an encrypted channel that only appeared to be random space static. Enemy fleet is reducing speed and spreading their formation. They believe our evacuation is genuine. Her message was received by hidden relay stations throughout the solar system, each one disguised as abandoned mining equipment or debris from destroyed ships. The communication network had taken years to build and was completely invisible to alien detection. Methods engineer Bei Wusung received the message in his secret facility built inside the hollowed-out asteroid series. His team of 500 specialists had been working around the clock for months, preparing systems that the galaxy had never seen before. They moved through tunnels carved deep in the asteroid rock, checking weapons that could tear apart space itself. The enemy fleet is following predicted patterns, Bei Wusung announced to his team. Continue final preparations on all primary systems. We go active in 14 hours. His engineers nodded and returned to their work. Around them, massive machines hummed with barely contained energy. These weapons had been built using technology that humanity had kept secret for decades, advances in physics that made their public science look primitive by comparison. On Earth, the emergency leadership continued their apparent panic. Admiral Choi In-soo held another crisis meeting, this one broadcast on open channels that the aliens could easily monitor. The human leaders appeared to be arguing among themselves about whether to surrender or attempt a hopeless last stand. Defense Minister Yoon Soo-jin slammed her hand on the table during the staged argument. We cannot abandon 8 billion people to alien occupation. Even if we have no chance of winning, we must try to fight. Strategic Coordinator Kang Min-ho shook his head in apparent despair. Fighting is suicide. Our entire fleet cannot stop even 1/10 of their forces. At least if we surrender, some of our people might survive. The argument continued for an hour, with human leaders appearing divided and desperate. Every word was carefully chosen to reinforce the alien belief that humanity was weak and broken. The performance was so convincing that some of the human participants almost believed it themselves. In hidden bases throughout the solar system, other humans watched the show with grim satisfaction. Captain Lim Jae-sung commanded a stealth ship that had been invisible in Jupiter's upper atmosphere for 6 months. His crew had watched alien scout ships pass within kilometers of their position without detecting them. Nam So-young, his weapons officer, ran final checks on systems that officially did not exist. Her console showed weapon readiness levels that would have shocked the Dominion commanders if they could see them. Every human ship, even the fleeing refugee vessels, carried armaments that far exceeded anything the aliens expected. As the day wore on, more desperate human transmissions filled the airwaves. Ship captains pleaded for safe passage. Mothers begged for mercy for their children. Scientists offered to share their research in exchange for their lives. The Dominion fleet continued its leisurely approach, confident that they were witnessing the final collapse of human resistance. They had no idea that every terrified plea, every desperate evacuation, and every apparent military failure was part of the greatest deception in galactic history. Soon, very soon, the hunters would discover they had become the hunted. Captain Lim Jae-sung held his breath as a massive Dominion battleship passed less than 2 kilometers from his position. The alien vessel was so close that he could see the weapon ports and shield generators built into its dark hull. His stealth ship Silent Thunder remained perfectly invisible, hidden by technology that bent light and energy around them like water flowing around a stone. His crew worked in complete silence on the bridge. Nam So-young monitored her weapons console, watching as targeting data flowed across her screens. Every Dominion ship that passed their position was being scanned and cataloged. Weak points were identified, shield frequencies were recorded, and firing solutions were calculated and stored. Engineer An Jun-ki sat at his station, his fingers dancing over controls that managed the quantum field generators, keeping them hidden. The technology was so advanced that it made their own military's public science look like children playing with toys. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he maintained the delicate balance of forces that kept them invisible. 17 more battleships have passed our position, Nam So-young whispered into her headset. That makes 412 capital ships counted so far. Still no sign they detect us. Captain Lim Jae-sung nodded slowly. Around them, the Dominion fleet continued its steady advance toward Earth, completely unaware that human ships were positioned throughout their formation. The aliens believed they were moving through empty space, but they were actually swimming through a sea of invisible predators. On the far side of Earth's moon, General Baek Hyun-tae walked through tunnels that had been carved from solid rock over the past 50 years. The underground facility stretched for hundreds of kilometers beneath the lunar surface, hidden from every sensor known to galactic science. Above him, the moon's surface appeared normal to alien scanners, but below lay humanity's greatest secret. Dr. Moon Se-ram joined the general as he entered the primary construction bay. The vast cavern stretched out before them, filled with ships that should not have existed. Sleek vessels hung in the artificial gravity fields, their hulls gleaming under the work lights. Each ship was built with technology that humanity officially did not possess. Final count, Doctor, General Baek Hyun-tae requested as they walked along the observation platform. Dr. Moon Se-ram consulted her tablet, scrolling through lists of completed vessels. 18,000 combat ships of various classes, all equipped with quantum displacement drives, advanced shielding, and weapon systems that exceed Dominion technology by several generations. The general stopped walking and stared out at the hidden fleet. 18,000 ships built in secret over decades, waiting for this moment. Each vessel represented years of hidden research, secret mining operations, and the dedication of millions of humans who had worked in complete secrecy. How long until we can deploy them? He asked. Dr. Moon Se-ram checked her chronometer. The quantum displacement drives are fully charged. We can position the entire fleet anywhere in the solar system within minutes of receiving the activation order. The quantum displacement drives were humanity's greatest technological achievement, allowing ships to move instantly across vast distances by stepping briefly outside normal space. The technology had been perfected in these hidden lunar facilities, while the galaxy believed humans were still struggling with basic faster-than-light travel. Aboard his command ship in Earth orbit, Admiral Lee Soo-hyun studied holographic displays that showed the true situation throughout the solar system. Unlike the panicked messages being broadcast on open channels, his private communications network painted a very different picture of human readiness. Every refugee ship was actually a fully armed warship in disguise. Every evacuation convoy included vessels carrying advanced weapons and trained military crews. Every desperate plea for mercy contained hidden tactical data that was being shared between human commanders. Admiral Lee Soo-hyun had spent 30 years planning this moment. He was humanity's most brilliant strategic mind, a man who thought in terms of decades rather than days. While other species made plans for the next battle, he had been preparing for a war that would reshape the entire galaxy. Status report from all hidden assets. He commanded his communications officer. The data flowed across his screens in streams of encrypted light. Stealth ships reported their positions throughout the Dominion fleet. Hidden weapons platforms confirmed their readiness throughout the solar system. Secret bases acknowledged their prepared status from locations the aliens had never suspected. In the asteroid belt, engineer Bae Woo-sung made final adjustments to weapons that could crack planets in half. His facility inside Ceres had been disguised as an abandoned mining operation for over 20 years. During that time, his teams had built weapons powered by controlled black holes and energy fields that could tear apart the fabric of space itself. Primary gravity lance is at full power, his chief technician reported. Secondary antimatter projectors are online. Quantum disruptor array is standing by. Bae Woo-sung nodded as he watched the energy readings climb toward maximum levels. These weapons represented physics that the Dominion races had never imagined. While they had been content to rule with conventional technology, humanity had been pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Throughout the solar system, other hidden bases came online. Weapons platforms disguised as space debris powered up their systems. Ships that appeared to be fleeing refugees armed their concealed weapons. Thousands of human agents embedded within the approaching alien fleet prepared to reveal themselves. Captain Oh Dong-min stood on the bridge of his refugee ship New Hope, watching his crew prepare for battle. His passengers were not terrified civilians but highly trained Special Forces soldiers. His cargo holds contained enough firepower to destroy a small moon. His wife Song Ji-hye finished her final performance as a frightened refugee, then moved to her real position as the ship's tactical officer. Her acting skills had been crucial in selling the deception, but now it was time for her to use her other talents as one of humanity's best combat coordinators. All passengers have moved to combat positions, she reported. Weapon systems are fully charged and ready. Boarding teams are standing by for close assault operations. The New Hope was one of 800 refugee ships, each one carrying similar surprises for the unsuspecting alien fleet. What the Dominion saw as desperate civilians fleeing their homes were actually the most dangerous military units humanity had ever assembled. On Earth, the staged arguments between human leaders reached their climax. Defense Minister Yoon Soo-jin appeared to finally break down under the pressure, agreeing to send surrender terms to the Dominion fleet. Her message would be the signal that activated every hidden human asset throughout the solar system. Strategic Coordinator Kang Min-ho drafted the surrender document that would actually contain the activation codes for humanity's true fleet. Every word had been chosen months ago, each sentence containing multiple layers of hidden meaning that would trigger different phases of the coming battle. As the Dominion fleet spread throughout the solar system to begin what they believed would be an easy occupation, they remained completely unaware of the trap closing around them. Alien ships moved into positions that human strategists had predicted years earlier. Every movement brought them closer to weapons they could not detect and enemies they did not know existed. In his hidden command center, Admiral Lee Soo-hyun smiled as he watched the alien fleet deploy exactly as his models had predicted. Decades of preparation were about to pay off in the most spectacular military reversal in galactic history. The Dominion believed they were about to witness the surrender of a primitive species. Instead, they were about to discover that they had been dancing to humanity's tune for far longer than they could possibly imagine. The greatest deception in galactic history was almost ready to end. Admiral Choi In-soo stood in the command center deep beneath Earth's surface, his hand hovering over the activation switch that would end the greatest deception in galactic history. Around him, dozens of officers waited in perfect silence, their faces tense with anticipation. The moment they had prepared for over 50 years was finally at hand. On the main display screen, the Dominion fleet had spread throughout the solar system exactly as predicted. Their ships floated in formations designed to overwhelm a small, desperate human fleet. Supreme Commander Vorthak had positioned his forces to demonstrate their overwhelming power, never suspecting that he had just placed them in the perfect killing zones. "All hidden assets report ready," announced Communications Officer Lee Dasam. Her console showed green lights from across the solar system, as thousands of concealed human ships confirmed their battle readiness. "Stealth fleet acknowledges. Lunar base acknowledges. All refugee convoys acknowledge." Admiral Choi In-soo took a deep breath and pressed the activation switch. "Execute Operation Celestial Reversal. Show them what humanity really is." Across the solar system, space itself seemed to explode with light and motion. Captain Yu Min-se felt his heart pound as his dreadnought Indomitable Spirit materialized directly above the Dominion flagship. His ship had been hidden in quantum displacement space, waiting for this exact moment. The massive human warship appeared like a dark angel of death, its weapons already charging as it dropped its invisibility shields. "Fire all forward batteries," Captain Yu Min-se ordered. The Indomitable Spirit unleashed a barrage that lit up space like a new star being born. Advanced plasma cannons and gravity lances struck the alien flagship before its shields could even activate. The Dominion command ship, which had seemed invincible moments before, shook under the devastating assault. Commander Shin Yunji led Squadron 7 as they materialized from what the aliens had thought was empty space near Saturn's rings. Her 12 ships had been hiding among the ice particles for months, their advanced cloaking systems making them invisible to every sensor in the Dominion arsenal. "All ships, weapons free," she commanded. "Target the heavy cruisers in Formation Delta." Her squadron struck like lightning, their quantum torpedoes tearing through alien shields as if they were made of paper. The Dominion ships tried to return fire, but they were shooting at ghosts. Human ships moved with impossible speed and agility, their quantum displacement drives allowing them to appear and disappear faster than alien sensors could track. Pilot Kwon Dae-hyun screamed through space in his advanced fighter, leading a squadron of 500 identical craft that had just appeared from nowhere. His ship moved like liquid fire, weaving between alien vessels while his weapons carved deadly paths through their formations. "Blue Squadron, focus on their communication arrays," he ordered over the tactical channel. "Cut off their ability to coordinate their defense." His fighters swarmed over the alien ships like angry wasps, their precision weapons systematically destroying sensor dishes, communication towers, and command bridges. The Dominion fleet found itself blind and deaf, unable to coordinate any effective response to the sudden human assault. Captain Ryu Hyo-jin commanded the artillery ship Thunderbolt, one of 300 similar vessels that had just revealed themselves throughout the solar system. Her ship carried weapons that could destroy asteroids with single shots, and now those weapons were aimed at alien battleships. "Target acquired," her gunner reported. "Dominion heavy battleship at bearing 27 Mark IV. "Fire," Captain Ryu Hyo-jin ordered. The Thunderbolt's main gun discharged with enough energy to power a small city. The beam of concentrated destruction crossed space in milliseconds, striking the alien battleship dead center. The Dominion vessel simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that not even debris remained. Throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out as humanity's true military might revealed itself. Ships that had appeared to be fleeing refugees suddenly sprouted weapons and turned on their alien pursuers. Hidden bases activated defense systems that made their previous technology look primitive. Stealth ships that had been invisible observers became deadly hunters. Commander Oh Seung-woo materialized his boarding ship directly inside the Dominion fleet's protective formation. His vessel was designed for one purpose: capturing enemy commanders alive. His ship's quantum tunneling system allowed it to appear inside alien vessels without damaging the hull. "Boarding teams Alpha through Echo, deploy immediately," he ordered. "Remember, we need their command staff alive for interrogation." His specially trained soldiers moved through the alien ship like ghosts, their advanced armor making them nearly invulnerable to Dominion weapons. Within minutes, they had captured 3 alien admirals who were still trying to understand what had happened to their invincible fleet. Major Kim Ye-jin led her assault team through the corridors of a Dominion communications ship, her soldiers moving with practiced efficiency as they secured critical sections of the vessel. Her mission was to capture the alien communication codes and fleet coordination protocols. "Bridge secured," she reported, as her team took control of the ship's command center. "We have access to their entire tactical database. Downloading everything now." The information flowing into human computers revealed the full scope of Dominion military capabilities, their secret bases, their planned invasion routes, and most importantly, their complete shock at humanity's true strength. On the Dominion flagship, Supreme Commander Vorthak stared in complete disbelief at the tactical displays, showing his fleet being systematically destroyed. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years were being cut apart by human weapons they had never imagined possible. "How many human ships are there?" he demanded of his tactical officer. Commander Sesthal worked frantically at his console, trying to get an accurate count of the attacking human forces. The numbers kept climbing as more ships revealed themselves from impossible hiding places. "At least 60,000 ships, Supreme Commander," Sesthal reported, his voice shaking with fear. "No, 70,000. The count keeps increasing. They are appearing from everywhere." Vorthak felt his blood turn to ice. 70,000 human ships meant that everything the Dominion had believed about humanity was wrong. They were not the primitive species struggling with basic technology that alien intelligence had reported. They were something far more dangerous. "Send surrender terms to the human fleet," Vorthak ordered, his pride crumbling in the face of complete military disaster. But it was too late for surrender. Tactical Officer Park Gitai aboard the human command ship was already implementing the next phase of the operation. His job was to break the alien formations completely and capture as many ships intact as possible. "Deploy the gravity nets," he ordered. "Trap their remaining ships before they can escape." Invisible fields of twisted spacetime surrounded the surviving Dominion vessels, holding them in place like insects in amber. The aliens found their ships unable to move, their weapons unable to fire, and their shields unable to protect them. In less than 4 hours, the most powerful military force in galactic history had been completely defeated by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The 50,000 ships of the Celestial Dominion were either destroyed, captured, or trapped helplessly in human gravity fields. Admiral Choi In-soo watched the final reports come in from across the solar system. The victory was so complete that it seemed almost impossible to believe. "Total Dominion casualties?" he asked. 37,000 ships destroyed, 11,000 captured intact, 2,000 trapped in gravity nets, reported his tactical officer. "Human losses are minimal. 17 ships damaged, 3 destroyed." The numbers told the story of the most one-sided victory in military history. Humanity had not just won the battle. They had demonstrated that they were the true power in the galaxy. The deception was over. Now the galaxy would learn what humanity really was. Information warfare specialist Jong Soo-bin sat in her control room surrounded by hundreds of communication arrays that could reach every corner of the galaxy. Her job was not just to report the battle, but to ensure that every intelligent species in known space witnessed humanity's true nature. The psychological impact of this moment would reshape galactic civilization forever. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," she announced as her systems came online. "Every major population center in the galaxy is now receiving our transmission. Across thousands of worlds, billions of alien beings stop their daily activities to watch the impossible scenes playing out in the Sol system." Species that had considered humans to be primitive barbarians watched in stunned silence as human ships moved through space like living things, their technology making the mighty Dominion fleet look helpless and outdated. Captain Han Do-yoon activated his ship's primary communication array, beginning a broadcast that would be remembered for thousands of years. His vessel, disguised as a simple cargo hauler just hours before, now revealed weapons and defensive systems that surpassed anything in the galactic databases. "People of the galaxy," Captain Han Do-yoon began, his voice carrying across space to reach every inhabited world. "You have just witnessed the end of the Celestial Dominion's reign of terror. For too long, they have ruled through fear and intimidation, claiming superiority over younger species." His ship performed maneuvers that should have been impossible, bending space around itself while maintaining perfect stability. The demonstration was being recorded by alien observers throughout the galaxy, spreading proof of humanity's incredible technological advancement. "What you see here is not our full capability," Captain Han Do-yoon continued. "This is merely what we chose to reveal today. Humanity has been preparing for this moment for longer than your oldest civilizations have existed. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. On 1,000 worlds, alien governments went into emergency session as they realized their fundamental assumptions about galactic power had been completely wrong. Dr. Ko Min-jung watched the alien reactions through her vast network of monitoring stations hidden throughout known space. She was humanity's leading expert on alien psychology, the architect of the deception that had fooled the entire galaxy. Her understanding of how different species thought and reacted had made this moment possible. Vorthak psychology shows complete submission patterns, she reported to the command center. The reptilian species responds to overwhelming displays of power with immediate pack reorganization. They will attempt to join the winning side. Her screen showed data streaming in from across the galaxy, as different species reacted according to their predicted psychological patterns. The insect-like Klixen were showing hive panic responses. The crystalline Nexari were attempting to calculate probabilities of human victory. Each species was reacting exactly as her models had predicted. Klixen hive minds are broadcasting surrender frequencies. Dr. Ko Min-jung continued. Nexari probability matrices are showing acceptance of new galactic order. The bird-like Skarn are displaying submission postures. Admiral Song Tae-wan stood before the Galactic Communication Network, preparing to deliver the message that would formally announce humanity's true position in galactic affairs. Behind him, holographic displays showed human ships patrolling throughout Dominion space, their mere presence causing alien fleets to surrender without firing a shot. Fellow beings of the galaxy, Admiral Song Tae-wan began. Today marks the beginning of a new age. The Celestial Dominion claimed to represent order and civilization, but they ruled through oppression and fear. They attacked humanity believing we were weak and divided. The Admiral paused, allowing his words to reach every corner of known space. They were wrong about everything. Humanity has been watching the galaxy for far longer than you know. We have been present in your governments, your militaries, your research institutions, and your trade networks. Every major decision made in galactic politics for the past 2 centuries has been influenced by human agents working behind the scenes. The revelation sent shockwaves through alien civilizations. Emergency sessions convened on every major world, as governments realized that humans had been manipulating galactic affairs for generations. Trade agreements, military alliances, territorial disputes, all had been subtly guided by invisible human influence. On the crystalline world of Nexus Prime, the Council of Calculations worked frantically to analyze the new data. Their entire civilization was based on mathematical certainty, and the revelation that humans had been controlling galactic events challenged their fundamental understanding of reality. Chancellor Zexmore of the Crystal Beings activated the emergency communication system, his geometric form reflecting the lights of hundreds of calculation matrices working at maximum capacity. Human representatives, Chancellor Zexmore transmitted, our calculations show that resistance to your influence would result in our extinction. The Nexari Collective formally requests to join your new galactic order. Similar messages were flooding in from across the galaxy. A species that had considered themselves powerful realized they were dealing with a force beyond their understanding. The bird-like Skarn offered their entire merchant fleet. The aquatic Delphani pledged their ocean worlds as human bases. Dr. Ko Min-jung smiled as she watched the psychological domino effect spread across known space. Phase 1 psychological objectives achieved, she reported. Estimated 87% of major galactic powers are showing submission or alliance-seeking behaviors. But the psychological warfare was just beginning. Admiral Song Tae-wan activated the next phase of the campaign, designed to demonstrate that humanity's victory was not just about superior technology, but about superior thinking. The battle you witnessed was not won through luck or desperation, Admiral Song Tae-wan continued his broadcast. Every move the Dominion made was predicted and planned for decades in advance. Their formation patterns, their approach vectors, their tactical decisions, all were anticipated by human strategists. He activated a holographic display that showed the battle from a strategic perspective, with human predictions overlaid on actual Dominion movements. The alien viewers could see that humanity had known exactly what their enemies would do, sometimes predicting alien actions years before they were taken. The Dominion fleet moved into positions that human engineers designed 50 years ago, the Admiral explained. Their weapons struck targets that human shields were specifically built to deflect. Their tactics followed patterns that human commanders had studied and prepared for since before their current officers were born. The psychological impact of this revelation was even greater than the military victory. It demonstrated that humanity did not just possess superior technology. They possessed superior minds capable of planning on timescales that other species could barely comprehend. The gas giant world of Vorthan Prime. Supreme Commander Vorthak sat in his prison cell aboard a human ship, watching the broadcast that showed his complete defeat being analyzed by alien experts across the galaxy. His reptilian pride had been shattered by the realization that he had been manipulated like a puppet from the very beginning. The cell door opened, and Dr. Ko Minjung entered, carrying a data tablet that contained psychological profiles of every major alien leader in the galaxy. "Commander Vorthak," she said in perfect Vorthak language, "I wanted to personally explain how thoroughly we understood your species' psychology. Your attack on humanity was not your idea, it was ours." She activated her tablet, showing him documents that detailed how human agents had spent decades manipulating Dominion politics to create the exact conditions that would lead to this attack. "We needed a reason to reveal our true capabilities," Dr. Ko Min-jung explained. "So we carefully arranged for the Dominion to feel threatened by human expansion. We fed your intelligence networks false information about our weakness. We manipulated your trade disputes until you felt forced to take military action." Vorthak stared at the evidence of his complete manipulation, his proud warrior spirit finally breaking under the weight of the truth. "Your entire military career was guided by human influence," Dr. Ko Min-jung continued. "Your promotions, your strategic training, even your personal relationships, all were subtly arranged to put you in position to make the exact decisions we needed you to make." The psychological victory was complete. Not only had humanity defeated the greatest military force in the galaxy, they had proven that they had been controlling galactic events from the shadows for generations. Every species that had considered themselves independent now realized they had been dancing to humanity's tune all along. As the broadcast continued across the galaxy, one message became clear to every intelligent being. Humanity was not just another species seeking its place among the stars. They were the hidden masters who had been shaping galactic civilization from the beginning, and now they were ready to rule openly. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun. Fleet Admiral Kim Chang-ho stood on the bridge of the massive human dreadnought Destiny's End, watching as the last remnants of the Celestial Dominion fleet formally surrendered their weapons. Around him, the shattered remains of what had once been the galaxy's most feared military force waited in perfect formation, their crews hoping that cooperation might earn them mercy. The surrender ceremony was being broadcast across every inhabited world in known space. Billions of beings watched as Supreme Commander Vorthak, his scales dulled with shame, approached the human admiral to offer his ceremonial sword in defeat. "Supreme Commander Vorthak of the former Celestial Dominion, surrender all military forces under my command to the authority of humanity," the alien commander said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We accept full responsibility for our unprovoked attack and place ourselves at your mercy." Fleet Admiral Kim Chang-ho accepted the sword with calm dignity, understanding that this moment would be remembered for thousands of years as the official end of alien dominance in the galaxy. "The war is over," he announced, his words carrying across space to reach every corner of known civilization. "Humanity accepts your surrender and offers terms that will ensure peace and prosperity for all species willing to accept the new galactic order." On Earth, President Yoon Da-min prepared to address the galaxy from the same room where human leaders had pretended to argue about hopeless resistance just days before. The massive holographic projectors activated, sending her image to every major world simultaneously. "People of the galaxy," President Yoon Da-min began, "today begins a new chapter in galactic history. The old system of fear and oppression is finished. Humanity offers a better way forward for all intelligent species." Her words were translated into thousands of languages and broadcast across millions of worlds. In the background, carefully selected images showed human technology being used to heal worlds damaged by Dominion rule, human ships delivering medical supplies to struggling colonies, and human scientists sharing advanced knowledge with alien researchers. Diplomat Seo Jun-ho stood beside the president, holding documents that would reshape the political structure of the entire galaxy. These treaties had been prepared decades in advance, waiting for the moment when humanity would reveal itself as the true power behind galactic civilization. The new galactic cooperative will be built on principles of mutual benefit and voluntary association, Diplomat Seo Jun-ho explained. Species that join willingly will receive access to human technology, protection from external threats, and representation in the galactic government. The terms were generous but made one thing absolutely clear: humanity would be the senior partner in all arrangements. Species that had ruled for millennia would now take guidance from the young race they had dismissed as primitive. Director Park Min-soo of Human Intelligence activated secure communication channels that reached into the highest levels of alien governments across the galaxy. His network of agents, built over centuries of careful infiltration, now revealed itself completely. Attention all embedded assets. Director Park Min-soo broadcast on frequencies that only human operatives could access. Phase 7 is now active. Reveal your positions and begin transition to open advisory roles. Across the galaxy, beings that alien governments had trusted for decades suddenly identified themselves as human agents. Trade advisors, military strategists, scientific researchers, and political consultants all revealed themselves as part of humanity's vast intelligence network. On the aquatic world of Delphani Prime, the being known as Counselor Tidal Depth removed the sophisticated biological disguise that had hidden his true human nature for 20 years. The Delphani leadership, who had relied on his advice for crucial decisions, watched in shock as their trusted advisor revealed himself to be a human operative. "I am Commander Lee Jae-won of Human Intelligence," he announced to the stunned Delphani Council. "Everything I have advised you over the past 2 decades has been in preparation for this moment. Your species chose cooperation over resistance, which is why your worlds remain unharmed." Similar scenes played out on hundreds of worlds as the true scope of human infiltration became clear. Every major decision made by alien governments in the past century had been influenced by hidden human agents working to guide galactic events toward this exact outcome. Admiral Choi, who addressed the assembled alien ambassadors who had gathered at the hastily arranged Galactic Summit on Neutral Space, Station Harmony 7. The station itself had been built with secret human funding and technology, though the aliens had never suspected its true origins. "The galaxy faces threats from beyond our borders," Admiral Choi In-soo explained, activating holographic displays that showed deep space sensor readings. "While you focused on controlling territories within known space, humanity has been monitoring dangers from the galactic rim and beyond." The displays showed massive alien constructs moving in the dark spaces between galaxies, technologies that made even advanced human science look primitive by comparison. These were the true enemies that humanity had been preparing to fight. Threats so dangerous that the entire galaxy would need to unite under human leadership to survive. "The Dominion War was not about conquest," the Admiral continued. "It was about preparing our galaxy for what is coming. The weapons you saw today, the ships that defeated your finest fleets, are merely the beginning of what humanity has built to defend all of us." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled alien leaders. They had assumed that humanity's victory over the Dominion represented the peak of human military capability. Now they learned it was just the minimum force needed to establish the unity that would be required for survival. Captain Lee Hyun, who had first detected the Dominion fleet, now commanded one of humanity's deep space exploration vessels, patrolling the galactic edge. His mission was to monitor the approaching threats that made the Dominion look like children playing with toys. "Contact bearing 0 Mark 73, reported his sensor officer. "Range approximately 50,000 light-years in closing. Estimated arrival in our galaxy in 12 standard years." Captain Lee Hyun studied the readings with growing concern. The entities approaching from dark space possessed technology that could manipulate matter at the quantum level, alter the flow of time itself, and treat entire star systems as raw materials for their incomprehensible constructions. "Transmit data to Sol Command," he ordered. "Market priority Alpha Alpha Black. This is what we have really been preparing for." Back on Earth, President Yoon Da-min concluded her address to the galaxy with words that would define the new age of galactic civilization. Humanity did not seek dominance for its own sake, she said, her voice carrying across space to reach every inhabited world. We sought the unity necessary to defend all of us from dangers that no single species could face alone. The choice is simple. Join us willingly and help build a civilization capable of surviving what is coming, or face those dangers alone. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours of the broadcast, over 300 alien species had requested formal membership in the new galactic cooperative. Trade routes that had been disrupted by war reopened under human protection. Research stations that had been abandoned during the fighting resumed operation with human technological assistance. Fleet Admiral Kim Chang-ho received reports from across the galaxy as human ships took up positions in key strategic locations. The transition from hidden influence to open leadership was proceeding exactly as planned, with minimal resistance and maximum cooperation from former enemy species. Status report from all sectors, he requested. Vorthak species has pledged their entire military to human command, his communications officer reported. Cliques and hives are requesting human oversight of their expansion colonies. Nixari Collective is sharing all mathematical research in exchange for human protection protocols. The transformation was complete. In less than a week, humanity had gone from apparently desperate refugees to acknowledged masters of galactic civilization. Species that had ruled for millennia now sought human approval for their basic governmental decisions. But as Captain Lee Hyun continued his patrol at the galaxy's edge, watching for signs of the approaching cosmic threats, he knew that humanity's greatest test was still to come. The Dominion had been practice. The real war was just beginning, and when those dark entities from beyond the galactic rim finally arrived, they would discover that humanity had not just conquered one galaxy, they had united it into the greatest military force in cosmic history. The age of humanity's hidden influence was over. The age of humanity's open dominion had begun, and soon, the entire universe would learn what it meant to face a species that always thought 10 moves ahead.